Hello, Yakri here with another general gaming and PC related video. This time I actually want to just do a quick video on building your first PC, right? If you haven't done it before, and you decided, I need an optimal gaming PC for whatever my budget is, right? And you want to do it. Now, the reason I wanted to do a video on this is because I was reading some unrelated thing about getting started on Twitch because I want to do some more Twitch streaming, and the person writing this guide recommended 6 months of research, or not necessarily 6 months. They said they researched building a PC for 6 months before doing it, and they recommended you do really extensive research. Now, I hate to be one to recommend not doing extensive research on a major purchase, but I can't recommend 6 months or even months of research, maybe like a weekend. The fact of the matter is that building a PC is kind of easy, and although having the knowledge yourself to just know whether or not a PC build is going to work out by just going down a list and picking out parts you like is somewhat difficult and requires a good bit of expertise, finding a build that will work for exactly your needs, that is going to be functional and have quality parts in it for your budget, is not that hard to do as long as you enlist some help. Now, before I get into the exact details, I just want to say that I do have some expertise in this area. I've built like 5 PCs for myself. I've built PCs for friends. I've built PCs for money. I've taken a college course on building PCs. I have some idea of what I'm talking about, although, there's always more to learn. There's some technical details that escape me. For example, like, it's really fucking hard to tell exactly how much having an L2 or L1 cache of a certain size helps on the processor, but that's kind of irrelevant, really, most of the time. So what I want to get into is the resources you can use to get a PC build in like a weekend, right? And have a good idea of something you could buy for your budget that's going to work. And there are a few resources I frequently utilize, and that's generally going to be PC Part Picker. If I'm assembling a build myself, this website is really fantastic. The ability to sort by price, rating, for each different part, and have like this collated list of parts from a bunch of different sources and stuff. Extremely helpful if you already know what kind of parts you want, right? And it's a really useful way to assemble a list of parts when people are giving you advice on what parts you should use for a computer build. And one of the particularly useful things about this is that it collates these ratings, right? And ratings, here's like some quick advice on how to utilize ratings online. Although they've become less trustworthy in recent times as companies have realized it's very important to lie about their ratings by purchasing good reviews of their products, right? So to a certain extent, sometimes you can get a stinker because someone is paid to have their ratings inflated. But generally speaking, what the deal is with these is that you want a product with a high rating, right? But a product with like 5 stars and only 17 reviews, right, is probably not as good as a product with 4.5 stars and 250 reviews, right? Now there's some other conflating factors. For example, I just looked at well, actually, that's not a good example of that. But one could be less popular simply because it's more expensive or more niche, and maybe it still fits your needs, right? But frequently, things that are more popular, thus earning more reviews, that still get around 4 stars, right? It's pretty hard to actually get like better than 4 stars in a review system, even if 4.5 is possible, even for a very great product, because there are always some failures. It's popular for a reason usually, right? It's well known because people know it's a good bang for your buck, or it's the best available, blah blah whatever, right? Usually they don't get a huge amount of ratings for just no reason, especially for like computer hardware parts where it's mostly enthusiasts that are buying these, right? And people are buying these for commercial purposes and stuff. So anyway, that's kind of how that works. So, you want to look for something with a lot of reviews, and the reviews are popular when you're picking parts. But that's somewhat of a side note. Now, if you want to just jump into this and you don't really have a lot of technical knowledge, you're going to want to go to a website where you can ask some people for help, right? And you go to a place like Build a PC, right, the subreddit, or the system building forums on Tom's Hardware. These are my favorite locations. There are other websites that do similar things, and you're going to post what your needs are, right? You're going to mention that you don't have any experience doing this, and you want some help setting up your first build, and you're going to post what your budget is, right? And like your flex room for your budget, like $800, give or take some amount, right? And hopefully people are going to give you some build advice. And probably what I would do is then take that build advice, right? Stick it in PC Part Picker so you can see some examples and or see how much it's probably going to actually cost you, and some similar, what's what I'm looking for here. You can look at similar parts if you want to. And then take that build and go somewhere else to a different website and ask people like, all right, so this is the build that I've assembled with some help, and is there anything that looks like obviously out of place? A good thing to do could be if you're building a PC for a particular purpose, like you want to design games, you need to run Unreal Engine 4, Unity 3D better, or you want to play games and you're really into, you know, PUBG, that's popular right now, right? And you want it to run well, or VR, for example, there are a lot of finicky issues with certain motherboards and stuff in VR, so maybe you go to a community that's associated with the thing you're really most concerned about your PC working well for, and you ask some people there, like say, like, this is my PC build, is there anything, don't say like, you know, what are some common pitfalls, or what PC should I build in a non-PC building related community, right? But take the build you already have that you've assembled from one or two different forms of help, and then post it somewhere that's relevant to your main purpose in building a PC, and ask, you know, hey, you know, is any of this stuff gonna fuck me over? Like, are there some specific compatibility issues that I'm gonna have an issue with if I use this? Probably the answer is gonna be no, and you can move on. If someone says like such and such item doesn't work, maybe you go back to a PC building related thing and say like, look, I need an alternative to this specific part, can you help me out? And you can basically get a PC build set up that's probably going to be great without any experience, right? It's not really that hard to do. PCs are not actually very hard to build. There's just not so much that goes into it, except when you're really like scrounging to get a specific setup at a specific price, right? So yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I believe PC Master Race on Reddit also allows posts about builds, I think, still. Certainly people have done it a lot in the past. I don't think they've banned it. But Build a PC, PC Master Race, and Tom's Hardware System Building Forum. Now, if you want an overview of some examples of what you could build at different price ranges, well, Tom's Hardware, and I think some other sites maybe do this, but Tom's Hardware has had really great quality builds for a long time for this. We'll do, like, every month or couple of months, they'll do these posts where it's like the best custom PC builds for gaming. It's basically they choose different price points and they build the best PCs they can manage at those different price points, right? And in general, there are like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 price points you have to care about, right? They've got more than that in here, but there's like the really budget end, right? There's the you know, like 800, which is like going to be like $500, $600. There's the mid-range, which is like $800, and then there's the like pretty much good for gaming, around $1,000, give or take a few bucks. And then there's like the overkill, which is like $1,500, right, for a PC build. And so, you know, choose what's appropriate for your budget. Generally speaking, the $800 build is the point where it's like actually pretty good for whatever you want to do, but not amazing. $1,000 build is like premium enthusiast hardware. $1,500, like I said, overkill. You probably don't need a PC like that unless you are doing stuff like that would be pretty useful for some of the stuff I do, because if you're doing something like running a game that's really graphically intensive and you also want to record or stream it, that's going to require a much better PC than the game itself requires. Likewise, if you want to do some stuff like 3D modeling or game design, right, you might be able to run those programs on a lesser PC, but you can find uses for a more powerful PC when you're doing stuff like that. So $1,500 is more like the enthusiast with a lot of money and or workstation end of the price range. You can go higher, but there's not a lot of good reason to do that unless you have a lot of money and definitely are building a workstation, not really a gaming PC. Because like mostly you would probably spend a lot more money on hard drives and do like a build that is very resistant to losing data due to hard drive failures. That's what that would be. And yeah, I mean, I think this actually pretty much covers it. If you want to actually get some experience in what building a PC is like, I mean, and what you need to know for different parts, I think that's certainly good to do. But you can get a pretty decent, like, cursory knowledge of how a PC is put together in, I don't know, like 6 hours, 2 days. You know, spend a weekend really looking into it, so you have a kind of an idea of what the hell you're doing in general. But I mean, this is the kind of thing you could do like over a week, 2 weeks. Just spend a bit of time on it. I think some people kind of like, well, what's the word I'm looking for here? They kind of oversell the amount of effort you should put into this. Of course, you know, if you're like me, I tend to agonize over big purchases. PCs generally tend to be a big purchase because however much money you have, you're probably going to buy like a solid PC for your budget, and whatever that is, it's going to be a big purchase unless you're obscenely wealthy, right? So you know, I like to take, I still do like to take my time on it, but you don't need to spend months on this. You don't need to be an expert in PC hardware in order to build a good PC for your needs, although it's a good idea to enlist the help of people who are. However, the internet is filled with people like me who love helping people build PCs, so take advantage of that, right? Let's see, what else do I need to mention? Oh, and please, for the love of God, do spend like an hour maybe watching videos on YouTube on how to assemble a PC. Putting a PC together is not that hard. It's really plug and play, very simple. However, there are some simple mistakes you can make that will cost you a lot of money if you don't just spend like an hour learning how to do it first. It's one of those things where, yeah, it's not that hard, but you know, if there's for every person who just spends 20 minutes looking up how to do it and then does it fine, there's someone else who's like, I got this, and then they put their processor in wrong and crush the pins, and it's really sad. So don't be that guy, okay? Yeah, I think this pretty much covers it. I just think it's a little oversold how hard it is to build a PC. It's actually quite easy. Getting the perfect setup can require a bit of expertise, but there are tons of people online who would love to help you because it's kind of fun once you do have that expertise. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it, and I'll talk to you all next time.